am eating grapes. Recently, I got triggered in an area of my life that I haven't been triggered in a really long time. I was so anxious. I was having that all-consuming, feel it in your entire body type of anxiety where like you can't do anything, you can't think of anything else. Everything you do think of leads back to what's making you anxious. You can't do anything you need to do. You can't do anything you want to do. And it makes you feel like absolute crap. It lasted about a week, but for like 3 days of that week, I was so miserable. It was so strong, this feeling of anxiety. I found myself on the floor of my room just doom scrolling for hours. I couldn't work on anything that I needed to work on at home. I was going to bed at like 3 a.m. It was miserable. You know that feeling where it's just like you're treading water. You know that you're doing everything that you can, but you just don't know how to swim. It's like you know how to swim, but you can't. You can't swim and you feel like you are drowning. That's what I was feeling. And I was beating myself up because why have I been in therapy all these years and I'm still feeling this anxious out of nowhere? Have I done no work? Have I made no progress? You know, those are like the thoughts that were going through my head. I held that grape in my hand for so long, it started to get warm. When I am going through like seasons where my anxiety is really bad and I'm putting in all my effort to get better and like keep myself afloat, I am using every single coping skill there is, like every single coping skill in the book, every strategy, and I'm using it religiously. But then eventually when I pull myself out of that with all those coping skills and all those strategies and I get to a good place, I kind of turn on cruise control. And that's not a bad thing. That's actually like that's kind of the goal of therapy and of like bettering yourself and healing. Like you kind of do want to get to the point where you put on that cruise control. But in cruise control, I'm using a lot less of my coping skills because my brain has kind of figured out how to make a habit of them and kind of do it on its own and do it a lot quicker. So they're not at the forefront of my mind all the time. So then when an unexpected trigger comes, I am so out of practice. And it feels like I forgot everything I've ever known. Maybe I never even knew anything. That's what it starts to feel like. It's not true, but that's what it starts to feel like. I think that's what happened to me recently. I was on cruise control for like a while because I was in a good place, and that's not bad. That's so good. I was honestly even feeling optimistic for my future. Oh my god. And then a trigger came and roundhouse kicked me in the face. I don't even know what a roundhouse kick is. I thought it was gonna be a lot like scarier. Okay. Sure. And then I had a therapy appointment, and my therapist gave me some advice, and I was like, wait, I already know this. Not in like a, you're telling me something pointless, but just like, I was just like, why did I not remember these things? This is so obvious to me. Like, why did I forget? Why didn't I think of this myself while I was sitting on the floor crying? It's sort of like forgetting long division after you start using a calculator in school. It's not that you don't know how to do long division, it's just that you're out of practice because math got easier once you started using a calculator. Where's my blanket? My blanket fell. Oh my goodness. When you start doing well, you stop using those basic starter pack coping skills for your anxiety. When an old trigger comes or whatever, and you feel like you're back in that place from the beginning, you forget. Or at least I forget. Because out of sight, out of mind, if I'm not constantly doing it, I don't remember it very easily. So I basically compiled a list of my favorite coping skills, my favorite strategies that I use for my anxiety that I think work wonders. I'm kind of making this video honestly for myself so I can look back at it and remember it when next time hopefully I never get triggered like that again. But life is not fair. And maybe this will help somebody else as well. So my favorite is worst case, best case, and middle case. So basically this is a worst case scenario, best case scenario, and a middle case scenario for a scary situation or something you're avoiding, whatever. Basically, if there's something that I'm afraid of, something that I'm afraid of confronting, or a situation that's coming up, whatever. This is sort of like to bring your brain back to reality because our brains can kind of jump to worst case scenario. I know mine does. It loves worst case scenario. She is such a slut for a worst case scenario. Whenever anything happens, my brain goes, what's the worst possible thing that could happen right now? Yep, that's what's gonna happen actually. That is reality. There's actually no other choice. What I do to kind of bring my brain back to reality, think of the worst case scenario. I let myself go there. Let me think of an example. And you can apply this to like conversations that you're gonna have How do you think this conversation is gonna go? Worst case scenario. Oh, they'll spit on me. I laugh because these are things that I actually think. Like if I tell that cashier or if I tell that waitress like, "Hey, my pasta's like burnt." What if she literally takes the pasta and smashes it in my face? Like these are things that I actually think. Is that going to happen? No. But my brain convinces me that it is. So I go, worst case scenario, she takes the pasta and stuffs it up my nose. And also remember that your worst case scenario probably isn't even realistic, and when you say it out loud, you probably will realize that. Best case scenario, she says, I'm gonna give you another pasta, and honestly, you don't even have to pay the bill. The chances of your worst case scenario happening are very slim. So when I say in the middle, it's kind of like if this is a worst case scenario and this is best case scenario, you kind of, middle is actually kind of like here because your best case scenario is more likely than your worst case scenario usually. So it's not actually in the middle, it's more like leaning towards best. So what's a middle scenario that's like leaning towards best? It's she's gonna go, oh my god, no worries, I'll take it back for you. That sounds like reality. Your worst case scenario is not gonna happen. 99% chance. So that one is my favorite because it really brings my brain back into like the realm of actual possibilities. My second one is affirmations. But listen. When I say affirmations, I specifically mean reminding yourself of what's actually true. Because sometimes our minds can take the small truth and then mix it in with like a whole lot of lie. And then what we're believing is 20% true, 80% lie. But because there's that 20% truth, it feels real to us. For example, I was going to have a conversation with someone recently and I was really afraid. And my brain kept telling me, you're so awkward. You don't know how to have conversations. You don't know how to do anything. This is going to be so hard for you because you don't know how to keep a conversation, blah, 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 blah. There's 20% truth in there. I do feel awkward when I have conversations, and sometimes conversations are very awkward for me. Conversation is awkward for me. So I take that 20% truth that, you're awkward sometimes, and I turn it into like 100% fact when that's not 100% fact. I'm actually pretty well spoken. I do know how to have a conversation, and I am charismatic. Let me just show you some affirmations that I wrote down recently. When you write affirmations, you have to believe them. They have to be truthful, like they have to be something that you know is a fact. Some that I wrote is, I am deserving of respect. That is a true fact for every single person hearing these words right now. You might not always believe that, you might not always act like that, but it is 100% an undeniable fact. You are deserving of respect. I am capable of overcoming adversity. That's a fact. You are capable of overcoming adversity. Are you good at it? Do you think it's going to be easy? No. But you are capable of it. If I were to sit here and write, I always overcome adversity, like that's not true. I am in control of my words and actions. That is true. You're not in control of the outcome of the conversation and everything like that. You're not, because you're not in control of the other person's words, but you are in control of your words and your actions. That is true. If you start your affirmations of, I am confident and I am blah, 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 like that may not be true, but you can change the affirmation to be, I am capable of displaying confidence, because you are capable. You are learning to do it. Maybe it doesn't come natural to you, but you are capable of it. Write affirmations that are going to help you believe in yourself based on rock solid truth. A lot of my anxiety is based on uncertain lies. So if I remind myself of rock solid truth, it just makes me feel a little bit better. It makes me feel like, okay, there's more than what my brain is telling me. This next one is kind of similar to the last one, not really, but a little bit. It goes hand in hand with the whole truth thing, believing what is true and not what is a lie. But correcting your thoughts. When you have a harmful thought, catching it and saying, is this thought fully true? So if you have a thought that says, everyone hates me, is that true? Like, take that. Does everyone hate you? Is that thought completely and entirely true? And is it helpful? Is it helping you in this situation? No. So that's when I would go back to the whole kind of sort of affirmation thing, reminding yourself what is actually true. How can you redirect or reframe that thought to open up your mind to what is actually true? An example, let's say that you have a friend who was supposed to meet up with you and now that they can't, and this is like the third, fifth time that they've canceled on you. And you might start to think, it's me. They hate me. They're annoyed with me. They're just trying to tell me they don't want to be my friend. They don't actually care about me or want to hang out with me, blah, 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 blah. And you start in that thought spiral. So reframe it or redirect it, whatever. So let's open our mind up a little bit. Take our view off of ourselves. What else could be happening here? My friend doesn't hate me. Like, let's start there. Let's just start with they don't hate me, because that's really unlikely. If they keep reaching out to you to hang out and then they cancel, whatever, they might be like really, they might not respect your time, but they don't hate you, probably. They didn't say they don't want to hang out with you, they just said I can't. They might be saying it a lot, they've said it 3 times already. They're not saying that they don't want to hang out with you, they're just saying that they can't. So you can take the blame off yourself. You can take the view, your perspective off of yourself and realize it might not be about you. Capture a thought that's making you anxious. Ask yourself, is this fully true? Is it helpful? Can I redirect it or reframe it? Because like I said before with the whole 20% true, 80% lie. So how do you take that and make that 80% lie go away? How can you redirect that or reframe it and make it feel more true? The next thing I like to do is journaling my streams of consciousness. So sometimes when our thoughts are racing, it really helps to just sit down and write. I don't mean in our notes app, because sometimes we can type as fast as we think, but when you sit down and you write physically, your thoughts have to slow down because you're doing something physical and you cannot write as fast as you think. So when you're writing, you can slow down and sort of really like thin out all those thoughts and all those moving parts in your head. Getting it on paper helps you to kind of look at it and get some perspective. Even just getting it out of here and putting it on paper can really help you a lot, because then you're physically looking at it. Sometimes keeping everything up here, it gets so abstract and it all gets jumbled up and it stops making any sense. So if you have racing thoughts or there's something that you've been running in your head with anxiety about, getting it on paper can help so much. Whenever I'm feeling really bad and I do start writing streams of consciousness, I always end up, I'll say 95% of the time, I end up getting some clarity by the end of it. So I'll start off with like, this is so horrible and this is never going to change, blah, 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 blah. And I'm writing. And by the end of it, I will either accept that I don't have a solution for this problem right now and I will find one eventually, or I find a solution, or I just manage to get this pump of gratitude and it feels so much better. This next one you've probably heard already 100 times, but I'm gonna say it again because it's very true. Breathing exercises and simple movements will literally do absolute wonders, and I hate that. I hate that if I get out of bed and do a little dance for 2, 3, 5 minutes, I feel better. And I hate that exercise really does make you feel better. That is so annoying. But it's true. You take a deep breath and count to 5, and then exhale. Suddenly, things don't feel so bad anymore. Obviously, this has to do with like biology and chemicals in our brains and everything like that, but obviously getting oxygen to your brain will help you be a little bit more clear-headed up there. I hate it too. But it's true. Sometimes even simple movement will get you out of a thought loop. If you're sitting there in your bed or on the couch and you can't get up, literally just press your whole body together, press all your muscles together and release them. It can be simple like that. It doesn't have to be crazy. It doesn't have to be super complex. You can do something super simple. But any sort of movement with your full body, even just your hands, do something so small. But remind yourself that you do exist in a physical body and there is a physical world around you, because we can get so lost in the mental space that we have built up here that we can forget the physical world. I don't even know how to explain it. A doctor could probably explain it so much better, but I just know that it's true and I've experienced it. I've been sitting there in a thought loop with anxiety coursing through my body nonstop, and then I do a little dance. Or I breathe in for 4 seconds, hold it for 4 seconds, breathe out for 6 seconds, and I do that 5 times, and suddenly life feels a little bit less like a dumpster fire. And then the last two are kind of just reminders to remind yourself that I think give you hope. And hope can be so helpful in these situations when you have a lot of anxiety or you're triggered. But remind yourself that you are safe. I think obviously when we're triggered about things or we get really anxious about things, it's rooted in a feeling of I am not safe right now. Like something bad is going to happen. That's obviously what anxiety is. It tells you something bad is going to happen when there's no evidence of something bad happening or very little evidence of it. So remind yourself that you are safe. I like to kind of put my hand on my chest and feel my heartbeat. Do that deep breath and remind myself I am safe. There is nothing hurting me right now. I am okay. I am fully capable of finding a solution to my problem. I am fully capable of getting through this. And right now, my body is safe and I am safe. Something of that sort. But basically just reminding yourself that you are not in immediate danger. Obviously, if you are in immediate danger, skip all of this, all of these things, and find physical help. And the last thing I like to remind myself is if I'm starting to feel like life is very stagnant and nothing ever changes and I'm just stuck in a never-ending loop of misery, I like to remind myself that things have changed in the past. Things can change in the present, and things will change in the future. It just makes me feel like, okay, that is true. Things have changed in the past. Good or bad, things have changed. Things can change right now, and things will change in the future. Life is not going to stay exactly like this forever. So yeah, those are just some tips and tricks that I use for coping with my anxiety. I have a lot more. Those are just some like basic ones, kind of simple ones. Some of my favorite ones. But let me know if you want to hear more, or if you want to hear ones that I use for depression, because I actually have a lot more of those, and I think ones that are really effective for my depression. I've been fighting it a long time, so I know what I'm talking about. This is a fun video to make. I hope that it's helpful to somebody, even if it's just helpful to me, that's fine. I'm okay with that because I needed this video last week and I didn't have it. So now I will have it next time my anxiety decides to rip me a new one. Please comment any tips that you have because I would love to know like your favorite anxiety tips. I really, really would. I'm not just saying that in a YouTuber way of like, please comment. I'm like genuinely, please comment. I love learning new coping strategies and mechanisms and everything like that. I will use them, so please comment and subscribe if you like. Leave me a like. I'm really trying to make more videos that I like and that are fun and that I just want to make. So if you want to see that, yeah, just stick around. I'm gonna go to bed now, and you should too. Good night, sleep tight. Thank you for watching. Bye.